everybody, Scout Crafty here again. It's Wednesday, for Wednesday for you, actually it's Tuesday for me, and Wednesday we'll be taking these beautiful trees down, as you know. And when I was a kid, I used to be into shortwave listening, and I ran an antenna from the house all the way to that front tree. And there was a big eye hook and a porcelain insulator. And unfortunately, years later, the wire broke and I cut it down, and the insulator and hook was swallowed up by the tree. Now, I don't want the guy with the chainsaw obviously getting injured or messing up his chainsaw, so I'm going to go out there with the metal detector and see if we can find out where that hook is. Okay, so here we have the metal detector here, and we're up against the tree, and I'm trying to find out when I was a kid where it was, and I kind of forget, you know? But I'm running across here because I don't, like I said, I don't want any accidents to happen. But I think somewhere up here, I'm getting something right about here. And that's, I don't know if I put it up that high. I forget as a kid, you know, so, but I am getting something here. So I'm going to mark this off with paint right around there and tell the guy to just be careful. But I don't get it anywhere else, so I think that's where it is. Now, I'm not sure, but I believe somewhere around that area. So I'm just going to have to tell the guy and hope, you know, God forbid he hits that hook with the chainsaw. Okay, next up, a couple people were asking, they were saying, why do you have to take these down? Why can't you have them, you know, trim back or something to save them? And to tell the truth is, I've been spending $1,200 every 2 years to have these things trimmed and dead branches taken off. And it gets to the point where it's just a non-stop expense. And let me show you about this oak. You could see we had that work done over here, but if you remember the bottom here, now my neighbor, this tree was a lot smaller when I bought the house, but unfortunately my neighbor was putting in a driveway, a brick driveway, and one of the stipulations is that I had to get a grinder in here and cut these roots down about 2 feet down so his driveway wouldn't buckle. And because of that, especially cutting all this side of the tree off, it creates a danger because the tree now can fall that way, and if it falls that way, it's going to take out my next two neighbors. Now, as for the maple, unfortunately, when maples start to die, you can see that where the branches break up there, they hollow out on the inside, and we have a problem that the inside of this tree, I'm sure, is starting to rot a little bit because it's past its lifespan. And again, it's leaning this way, and if this thing falls, you know, again, you're dealing with problems. And it took out, when they had the blackout, that top branch fell over and hit the power lines, knocking out my power and shorting out the entire block. And it's the same with that one. Because it's so old, sometimes you just have to start new. So we have a nice window of weather opportunity now, and they'll be coming tomorrow for me and today for you. But I'll have some footage hopefully on Friday to see. They said they're going to be able to take down all 5 of those trees in one day. I cannot see it happening. I just can't see it happening, but they said they can, so we'll see what happens. And next up, you remember my mentor Dan, we did that bolt for him, fabricated a couple bolts for him. He sent me and he said 7/8 of an inch he needs one of those bolts cut down to. So let's go cut it down, because this is a interesting aspect of how to reduce a bolt size. Let's go check it out. For Dan's bolt, we have to cut this down here. He wants it cut down to 7/8 of an inch for one of the bolts. So we take our scale here that is divided into eighths. You could see here, this is the 8th scale, and we take it to 7/8, which is right there. And whenever you measure a bolt, you always go from the head of the bolt here, and the threads is what you actually measure. So 7/8, we're going to have to make a cut right over here. So we'll do that over with the hacksaw. Let me show you something really important about it. Now, here are my poor man's soft jaws. I had a couple of these break on me. The clips broke off, and they make great little soft jaws here. So I'll put this in here in great grandpa's vise, and we'll tighten this up really good. And here's the important part to remember. You know that the wood is very good because it really grips onto that bolt, and it's a solid purchase. Now, we're going to measure down to 7/8, and when you want to cut this, a straight on, because I know the threads are angled. You might want to cut angled, but you got to cut it straight down, and always give yourself another 1/16 of an inch over, because we'll take care of that with the file. Now you can see here we made our scratch line. We're going to cut it a little bit proud. This is 7/8 here. And we're going to cut it a little bit proud because, like I said, we want to get this exactly down with the file. Now, this is not critical, this measurement, but it's always good to practice accuracy, because this is when you do need it, you know, it's always good to have that experience behind you. So we made that little scratch mark. Now, what I like to do is I always like to use lubricant with my cutting lube, which is I use Tap Magic when I'm using the hacksaw. It saves your blade, and it's a fantastic thing to do. Now I have a nice coarse file to get the top of the bolt. This is the other end of the bolt, but it's always good to, I just want to show you, you could see the, you know, the rough cut that the hacksaw leaves a little bit. And then just taking the file, a couple brushes on with a sharp file across the top of the bolt will give you a nice finish. And it's always good, again, good to practice, because it's good to keep and have the file flat, so that you're getting a flat surface. A lot of times you tend to cant the file with your hand one way or the other, and then you look at it from the side, the top of the bolt now is canted instead of being level. So this is, again, good practice to get that muscle memory right, so that you can file this bolt down and have it nice and flat all the way across. Now you can see we filed that level across the top here, right? But you can also see that that pinches. This is the nature of the beast. It'll always pinch that first thread. So now what you have to do is you have to chamfer the edge, because that's how you're going to be able to start the threaded area into a nut or into a threaded hole. So we have it level across here. Now what we want to do is we want to take this over to the belt sander at an angle and spin it and chamfer this so that it chamfers down this way. Now with the belt running in that direction, you want to lay the bolt this way. You don't want to go the other way. You want to lay it this way so it drags the metal this way away from the threads, and you want to just turn it around like this gently until you chamfer that whole edge. Now you can see that's a coarse belt, but you can see what a nice job it does. And it's important. Remember I was telling you, this soft spot, this is the forgiving spot of the belt between the flat platen and the roller. This little area here I use all the time, because that if you try and do it on the flat part, it tends to bounce and grip and drag and jerk, and the same thing with the roller. But if you do it in this little soft area here, you can spin it around. It's just lovely. Now after you've finished on the belt sander and you have your rough cut over here, we're going to take it to the wire brush and just smooth out the tip. Okay, there we are. We finished. We contoured. You see how nice that is now, that the way that's going to start? You see that? It's beautiful. Isn't that nice? Now, that's the tip of the bolt. And this is, again, this is the scrap area. This isn't even the good one. But now you can see you test it on your regular nut, and it should easily, you see how nice and easy, no burrs, no slips. It's just nice, and that's what you want. And it's, believe it or not, this skill is something that you got to practice over and over to get it just perfect. And any machinist is always proud to look at a job, or especially a nice tip of a bolt that was done, you know, so it starts. Okay, now easy. We just finished doing Dan's bolt here. You could see we got the size right down here, 7/8 of an inch, you could see. And we also have, look at the tip of that. Now this is something that, you know, a lot of us take for granted. But that is just isn't that beautiful? And look how easy this starts on the nut, you know? And that's just what you want. You want something that spins easy, that starts without having to jiggle it or work it around. And it's always good. Remember, perfect practice makes perfect. Now, this is where the frugalness comes in my family. You see this here? Now, normally a lot of people would just take this and throw it away. This here is gold, and I'll show you what you do with this. You take this here, we're going to put it back in a vise, and we're going to cut it right down the middle. Okay, With that scrap, you see we made some nice 7/16 by 14 grub screws or set screws. And you can see how this would work. If you ever needed a set screw or something, you can always use it in like this. Or, you know, a lot of old-time machines had these slotted head set screws until they went over to the hex head ones. But this is, you see this on a lot of vintage machines and whatnot. And you could see it was a... Again, why waste it when you have it? You know, it only takes a couple minutes, and then throw it into your batch of set screws.
Okay, last up, a good friend of mine and of the show by the name of Joe. You know him as Trader Joe's. He's Charlie's owner. And I know Joe a few years now. Great guy. And Joe sent me an email the other day. He says, I found a really cool screwdriver I think you might like. And of course, I have to go out. You know, I don't even, if Joe knows quality, and if he says it's good, I just ordered it up. I got it today. Let's check it out.
And here it is. You know, I know that I'm a sucker for green screwdrivers, but there's a couple things that made me jump on this without even hesitating. And first of all, it's made by OEM Tools, you can see here. And you can see it's a beautiful color, green, right? We love that. And what's nice is it has all these tools here in the shaft and the bits, but it also has a core removal, which is a screw removal tool, and it also has a Schrader valve tool, which is, I'll show you how that's used. So that's really good. But the best part is it's made in Taiwan, and it's out of Mineola, and that's right next to where Joe lives on Long Island here in New York. So, but it's made in Taiwan. We love Taiwanese stuff. Let's check it out and see what it looks like. Okay, and here it is. Isn't that just lovely? Look at that color. I'm telling you, I don't know what it is about translucent green, acrylic green. I just love it. And it's a nice size. It's got a nice grip to it. It's beautiful. It's just beautiful. Now, let me tell you, it's 13 in 1, okay? So it has obviously the Schrader valve we were talking about for taking the valve in a tire valve or taking it off. The core removal, that's this one over here. The core removal is where you drill a little hole if you have something that's stuck. This is a left-handed thread, and this will grab it and spin it out. Always nice to have. Never see them on any kind of multi-tool. It has 2 sizes of slotted screwdriver. It has 2 Phillips screwdriver sizes, 2 square nut drive sizes, 2 Torx sizes, and it has 3 nut or socket drivers. And you can see that the sizes here are 1/4 inch, 5/16, and 3/8. And it pulls apart here. And again, it's, you know, this is a great tool for the car. And I'll tell you what I like about this. What I really like about it is that the quality, it's ball detent. You see that? These little ball detents here. So when you push this in, unlike the magnetic ones, watch this. No rattle. This is a solid tool. It performs like a solid screwdriver. So, I mean, you could tell right now if you think, but 9 times out of 10, when I have a job to do around the house, I always grab one of these multi screwdrivers. But the only thing is with this one here, it doesn't fit, and you'll have to leave one behind. So I'll probably leave the square over here. I can't remember the last time that I used a square drive fastener. So that has I'll leave this one behind, and I'm sure the Schrader tool or the other tool would come in handy if you had it in your car. So that's the one I'll leave in there. But outstanding screwdriver. Joe, thank you so much for the recommendation. It runs about $12.37 on Amazon. Worth every penny. Pick one.
You know, the only thing I feel bad about sometimes when I do these recommendations of tools that are suggested or I come across is that my friends over in the UK and other parts of the world, that sometimes it's not accessible to them. So I feel bad because I know my buddy Ben would have scoffed and grabbed that right up, right? But anyway, it should be available. I mean, Amazon's worldwide, isn't it? So I don't know. Maybe you can get it. Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you have a great day. Take care now. Bye-bye.